What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here with your $600 second stimulus check update and $2,000 third stimulus check update, as well as an update on the attack on the U.S. Capitol going on right now. The U.S. Capitol has been breached. I'm going to give you guys the latest update on that. Senators and House representatives were evacuated. I'll give you the latest on that. They're actually saying they're going to come back tonight and try to certify the election results as a show of strength in opposition of what is going on with the protesters at the U.S. Capitol. I'm going to give you all the details of it in this video. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe down below if you haven't yet so you don't miss out on new videos regarding the second stimulus check and related news. Let's jump right into it. So yeah, let me show you some of the scenes from the U.S. Capitol today. As you can see, this news alert here. Woman shot inside the Capitol has been pronounced dead, D.C. police confirm. The U.S. Capitol was breached, and here are some different shots. As you can see, there was tens of thousands of people there. They actually broke into the U.S. Capitol. They were sitting at Nancy Pelosi's desk. You can see them here inside the Capitol building. There was actually reports that they stole hard drives off the computers in the Capitol of congressmen and congresswomen. And basically, it's absolute chaos. It's still going on right now. You can see a protester here inside the office of a congressman. And yeah, it was not a good scene. As you can just see as I go through some of this, there was tear gas and all sorts of different gases used today. The National Guard has been called in. They have a national curfew set now in Washington, D.C. The vice president was evacuated from the scene, and as well as Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell, senators, and House representatives, as it was just absolutely crazy today. Let me know your thoughts about this down below in the comments. Several different updates from President Donald Trump on these events. He says that these are the things and events that happen when a sacred landslide election victory is so unceremoniously and viciously stripped away from great patriots who have been badly and unfairly treated for so long. Go home with love and in peace and remember this day forever. He also said, I am asking for everybody at the U.S. Capitol to remain peaceful, no violence. Remember, we are the party of law and order. Respect the law and our great men and women in blue. Thank you. This was his speech that he put out just not too long ago.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Now, this happened during the ceremony proceedings that was headed by Vice President Mike Pence to certify the election results from the Electoral College. Vice President Mike Pence was presiding over this, and Republican senators had already started to object to the first state, Arizona's electoral count, and they were rejecting that. As this started in the U.S. Capitol, Vice President was whisked away, and President Donald Trump was not happy with Mike Pence's performance. Donald Trump said in a tweet earlier that actually got removed by Twitter, he says Mike Pence didn't have the courage. This is his own vice president. Vice President Mike Pence didn't have the courage to do what should have been done to protect our country and our Constitution, giving states just a chance to certify a corrected set of facts. not the fraudulent or inaccurate ones, which they were asked to previously certify. USA demands the truth. Now, a lot of people are kind of upset with President Donald Trump because he's the one that called these people there. He called this rally in Washington, D.C. This was a Trump supporter rally. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Do you think he's to blame? Do you think it's not the president's fault and it's just a few people, a few bad apples out of the group? Again, I try not to lean either way, but let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Also, let me know what you think about what he said about Vice President Mike Pence. Now, Mitch McConnell has apparently said that they're going to try to come back to the Capitol tonight. They were evacuated in the tunnels underneath the U.S. Capitol. I mean, can you even imagine that? And Nancy Pelosi has not yet been heard of at this point from the last I seen. They were in her office and stole her hard drives, apparently. And let me know if you've heard of what's going on with Nancy Pelosi. But Mitch McConnell says that they're going to try to come back tonight as a show of strength, that they don't want to basically back down to these I don't even know what do we call this, riots? Um, you let me know. But they're going to try to come back to restart this certification process. At this point, it's going to go late into the night and possibly tomorrow. I will have another update for you guys tonight at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Right now, let me show you what Mitch McConnell said not long ago before this happened of what was going on in the Senate floor.
We're debating a step that has never been taken in American history. Whether Congress should overrule the voters and overturn a presidential election. I've served 36 years in the Senate. This will be the most important vote I've ever cast. President Trump claims the election was stolen. The assertions range from specific local allegations to constitutional arguments to sweeping conspiracy theories. I supported the president's right to use the legal system. Dozens of lawsuits received hearings in courtrooms all across our country. But over and over, the courts rejected these claims, including all-star judges whom the president himself has nominated. Every election, we know, features some illegality and irregularity, and of course, that's unacceptable. I support strong state-led voting reforms. Last year's bizarre pandemic procedures must not become the new norm. But my colleagues, nothing before us proves illegality anywhere near the massive scale that would have tipped the entire election. Nor can public doubt alone justify a radical break when the doubt itself was incited without any evidence. The Constitution gives us here in Congress a limited role. We cannot simply declare ourselves a national board of elections on steroids. The voters, the courts, and the states have all spoken. They've all spoken. If we overrule them, it would damage our republic forever. This election actually was not unusually close. Just in recent history, 1976, 2000, and 2004 were all closer than this one. The Electoral College margin is almost identical to what it was in 2016. If this election were overturned by mere allegations from the losing side, our democracy would enter a death spiral. We'd never see the whole nation accept an election again.
So Mitch McConnell actually had some strong words there saying that he was actually urging his own Republican senators not to object to the election results. And you heard him there saying at the end that that speech kind of goes on for a while. But he basically said there at the end that if we do this now, that nobody will ever accept any election going forward in the future because strangely enough, our country is almost 50% Republicans and 50% Democrats. So this kind of sets a precedent. If this happens this time and they were able to object to this election, what would stop that from happening for the next election and the next election and the next election? Because again, every election there's almost 50% of the country that loses because there has to be one winner and one loser. It's just kind of as Mitch McConnell say, it's a death spiral to go down that path, and because there's always going to be half the country that's kind of unhappy that their side lost. Now, as you probably know, if you watched our earlier videos this morning, both the Georgia Senate seats that were in the runoff results, basically the re-election, the tiebreaker vote, both of them went to the Democrats, which means that the Democrats will be taking over control of the Senate, and Mitch McConnell will be losing the majority leader position and will only become the minority leader here in the upcoming days. It's up for debate on how fast or how slow this will happen, and if Mitch McConnell will start to have concessions going forward over the next few days of passing the $2,000 stimulus check faster than he previously might have, because when he becomes minority leader, he will no longer be able to delay the $2,000 stimulus package bill that has already passed the U.S. House of Representatives, and that he might want to get his own $2,000 stimulus check bill passed instead in the next days or hours so that they can get some concessions out of that bill, some Republican concessions, instead of basically Democrats running the floor. Now, Mitch McConnell is already being blamed very heavily for blocking that $2,000 stimulus check bill, not allowing it to go to a vote in the Senate because, well, I think we all know at this point that it probably would have passed and probably will still end up passing anyways, and that may have cost Mitch McConnell the Senate lead and the Republican Party in general not having the lead in the Senate for at least the next 2 years. The Democrats will control the House and the Senate and the presidency if and when Biden is able to come in. If that happens with the state of the world right now, anything is possible at this point. I personally think Mitch McConnell is to blame for this. I think that he was looking very nearsighted and not looking into the future because Mitch being Mitch, he's used to blocking bills and delaying bills and seeing bills that are going to pass and asking for concessions to get something out of it. He's used to doing that. So for him, it was just status quo when he's seen this $2,000 stimulus check bill pass the House so quickly and come over to the Senate. It was just kind of like an average, everyday, the same old thing. Being a Mitch, he blocked it, or at least temporarily blocked it, brought up his own $2,000 bill, which was basically a more palatable version for the Republicans and him, and had several different concessions in there because Mitch is just used to doing that. The problem is he didn't really think going forward that the Georgia Senate races were literally in just a few days. And if he blocked that long enough that it didn't get voted on, then he looks like the bad guy. And the Republicans thereby look like the bad guy because they literally stopped the bill from even being voted on that would have provided $2,000 stimulus checks to Americans. So Mitch McConnell blocked it because he's just used to doing that. And here we are, the Republicans lost the Senate race. And if we look at these results, you can see here that they only needed to win one out of the two races, and Purdue here lost by less than 1% of votes, and Loeffler lost by about like less than 2% of votes. These are such a small margin of victory that likely what Mitch McConnell did by blocking that $2,000 stimulus check vote cost him the Senate Majority Leader position and cost the Republicans the majority position in the Senate for at least the next 2 years. Now, of course, we know that the Democrats now control the House and the Senate, or when they control the Senate, when that officially takes place here, they're going to pass stimulus checks and stimulus packages at will. I mean, we're already seeing analysts from Wall Street was up big time today. The Dow was up by like 500 points, and then kind of the protests came in and kind of like backed off a little bit. But Wall Street and analysts are already figuring that there's going to be multiple stimulus checks and stimulus packages like we've never seen before, like we should have seen in the last several months to keep the economy going and keep Americans going and keep people on their feet and keep unemployment going. So now we're going to see that because now the Democrats can pass this stuff without Mitch McConnell standing in the way. Also, just a brief update. I will be having another update for you guys in 3 hours at 11 p.m. Eastern time with everything that's going on. But a couple things I want to mention. H&R Block and TurboTax have delays. Let me know if you've got your check and if you use them. They have said that there is delays. And also, I want to clarify something. If you are on unemployment, you will be getting the $600 stimulus check. Okay. There was some debate before this that said unemployed people shouldn't be able to double dip. They shouldn't get the stimulus check and the unemployment. That did not make it into the $900 billion bill. So if you're unemployed, you will be or should be receiving the $600 stimulus checks. The IRS is woefully behind here, but they're actually sending them out faster than the first time around. I mean, I think that president signed it on Sunday night, and by like Tuesday, people were receiving their direct deposits. So it is actually a lot faster than the last time, but it's still, I mean, people want their money and need their money. So yeah, you just got to be a little bit patient. Use the IRS Get My Payment tool. If your payment says unavailable, you can read the frequently asked questions down below. They update overnight. Personally, I would check that tool once in the morning. If you haven't got your check yet, or if anybody in your family hasn't got their $600 check yet, and we'll be using that tool going forward for the $2,000 stimulus checks that are inevitably going to pass now. And the Biden administration says that there will be multiple stimulus checks and stimulus packages as long as this pandemic goes on, which Dr. Fauci says will be till fall. So now that the Democrats and Democrats control the Senate, Mitch McConnell's gone, it's kind of be a stimulus free for all. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments, but the writing is on the wall. That is what will be happening. Also, click this bottom video to go to my second channel, The Daily Dirt, where I covered some of the protests earlier, and make sure you subscribe to that channel also. This top video is my newest stimulus check video on this channel. Click on one of those videos to watch them next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video at 11 p.m. Eastern Time tonight.